better to take tickets online as the availability for 350 and 340 is already sold out, so we have to wait until 4:15. So our guide has come and we are walking towards the cave entry part, and he's our guide.
Alright, if you brought a jacket, this would be the moment to put it on, because it's going to be 11 degrees in there if you didn't bring a jacket. Yeah, thank you. Enjoy.
Hi.
You're going to film the whole thing?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Oh. There's just one moment when I'm turning off the light.
Oh,
Then
okay.
your phone has to be out as well, because otherwise it gives light.
Oh, okay, sure.
Right? Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. So this is the North Caves Underground. This is the light that is going to take us inside the cave. This is the torch that we'll use inside the tunnel. It's completely dark if you don't have. This is the brightest we don't have when we have the tunnel. It's all made of limestones. We're gonna really have a good time. It's 11 degrees Celsius. It's very cold inside.
And they come through the door. We made a hole there as well. They fly in, and then most of them will be in this tunnel. They just go and hang in here. They sleep for the entire winter. There's a little bit of a breeze here. It's nice and cold, so they like it here. And then when it's spring again, it's warm enough. That's when they go out. They fly out, and then they go hunt for insects and that sort of stuff. And we're complete. There we go. Be with you in a second. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Watch your head.
And the reason I want to do that here is that from here it's still very easy to get out. You just walk back, you can open the door from the inside, and you're free. But from here, it gets more difficult. Here we can go into 2 directions, then you can go into 3 directions. After that, you can go into 5 directions. It is very easy to get lost here. I know where to go, so stay with me at all times. It's the most important thing. Stay with me at all times. In case something happens down here to anybody, I know all of the shortcuts will be out in a couple of minutes. In case something happens to me,
We will take you some more.
please take care of me, that's one. The second thing is do not go look for the exit. You don't stand a chance, just stay where you are. In 15 minutes the next door will start and then my colleague will come and figure it out. That's usually what we do. But indeed, we're the last tour.
Last tour.
We have a different procedure, which is, as the last tour guide, when you go out, I have to call my boss. She will say, great, you're out. If I don't call her, she will come look for us.
Okay.
Yeah, so it will take a bit longer than 15 minutes then, but she will come for us.
Okay.
So just stay where we are. Inside, we're going to see a lot of paintings. The paintings, they've not been made with, there's no painting here yet, but we will see them. The paintings, they're... See it all? This way, please. Unless you're going to tell the story.
You can improvise.
Does somebody know why? Yes, indeed. If you walk through the city today, you'll see that a lot of the buildings, for example, that very large red tower in the middle of the city, it's made entirely with limestone from here. And the more limestone you take out, the more tunnels you're going to get. So you take out limestone for 700 years, you're going to get a lot of tunnels. So many that if we would put all of the tunnels that we have here behind each other, you'd be able to go from here to Amsterdam Underground.
Oh.
200 kilometers of tunnels.
But why tunnels and not in like an open mine?
Good question. If you go up from here, you'll find poorer quality limestone, and if you go up further, you'll find all sorts of ground that you don't need. So they would go in through the side at exactly this layer where you have good quality limestone. Yeah, good question. Yeah. About 100 years ago, the owners of the caves, they were worried because bricks were coming up, other stones that were just cheaper, better, so they lost their income. And they said, we have this cave system here, it's kind of cool, how can we monetize this? What did they do? They decided to invite all sorts of local artists, and these artists made various paintings on the walls here. And they did that throughout the tunnel system, and they made sure that the paintings are always in some way related either to the cave system itself, or through the city of Maastricht. And they said, based on the paintings, we're going to tell the story of the caves and we're going to tell the story of Maastricht. That's what they started doing 100 years ago, and that's what I'll be doing today. Yeah, I could tell you something about this painting, but there's cooler ones later. And according to the legend, as long as Vesta manages to keep the eternal fire burning, the Roman Empire will thrive and Vesta herself, she will live. But if she fails to keep the eternal light burning, the Roman Empire will fall, and Vesta herself, she will die. And as important as the light was to Vesta, so important was also the light to do my work. Thank you. And as long as there are no watches lighting up or phones, if you do have watches or phones, please put them away. All right, yeah, let's keep coming this way. Just walk into Belgium. If you would want to draw all the tunnels and they're all connected, you'd have to extend the painting until over here. That's when you get the 200 kilometers of tunnels. Yeah, and that also means that you can walk underground into Belgium. And today, because of the NC, you can't anymore, but you could still do it during the First World War and during the Second World War. And in the First World War, the Netherlands didn't participate, but Belgium was occupied. So a lot of Belgian refugees would come through the caves to the Netherlands, and a lot of weapons and other stuff would go from the Netherlands to Belgium. And in the Second World War, the same thing happened, but then we were both occupied. But it would happen that British soldiers, which had been shot down, but also Jewish refugees, they were smuggled into the cave system by the Dutch resistance. Underground, they would go to Belgium. In Belgium, they would be helped by the Belgian resistance, and from there, they would be brought either further south to Spain or to England right away. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have an idea what on the south side of the city we have this hill? Let's build a fort on top of the hill here. If the French come again, they're first going to have to conquer this hill before they're going to be able to conquer the rest of the city. So we built the fort, and indeed the French did come back. And the year is 1794, during the French Revolution. And the French, they had this massive army. And the truth is, the French, they knew about the fort, and they probably thought, that's a cute fort, but we can take that, right? We're the French Revolutionary Army. At the same time, they also knew if we attack this fort head on, a lot of people are going to die. Isn't there a smarter way to do this? Turns out there was. Already back then, we had these tunnels here. The tunnels go until under the fort. They figured if we create an explosion under the fort, the whole stability is going to be gone. The whole thing is going to collapse. Everything is going to come down. The fort's going to come down, and without losing one soldier, we take this fort. Good thinking. So they made their calculations. Where do we need to be? How much gunpowder do we need? And they ended up sending 2 soldiers in here who attached a massive amount of gunpowder to what once was a pillar over here. They lit the fuse. An explosion happened, and you can see quite a lot of damage was done. But the fort, it's still there. They made 2 mistakes. The first one, if you create an explosion, it doesn't matter how strong the explosion is gonna go the path of least resistance. Is that through 10 meters of limestone and 20 meters of other soil?
Through the tunnels.
Exactly, it's through these tunnels. So you can imagine what might have happened to the guys that lit the fuse. That's our first mistake. The second mistake is maybe even more important. It turns out the Fort St. Peter is 120 meters in that direction. In Dutch we have a saying, iets met de Franse slag doen. He knows it. It translates to doing something the French way. And it's when you didn't do it properly. Yeah. It might be related to this, who knows.
So we are going to go without light.
Perfect. So over here we can see some of the old equipment that they use. So we see a couple of old saws, an old carpet lamp. And with a saw like that, they can just disappear. Here as well. We have a light. Yeah, thank you. You'll see. Magic water, ladies and gentlemen. No, it's true. If I throw it over your head, essentially,
I think potatoes.
yes, mushrooms does very well here. In winter it's also 11 degrees here. Yeah, around the entrances it differs a little bit, but in here it's 11 degrees. Yeah, so in winter it's nice and warm here. Yeah. So I told you within 3 days you get undercooled here and you die. But nonetheless, a couple of farming families have managed to live here for a couple of weeks. And this was, again, in 1794. The French army was coming this way, and the farmers living around the city, they knew what was going to happen. They knew there's going to be thousands of hungry soldiers. They're going to come this way and they're going to eat all of our animals. They thought, the French are very strong, this war might not last so long. What if we just wait out the attack? We just wait out the siege. We know our way down, we know our way around here. So what if we just take our pigs, take our cows, take our sheep, we just bring it all down and we wait here. They built places where they could feed the animals. They made a water well. They made places where they could sleep. But the most important thing, they made this oven. And this oven is so important for 2 reasons. The first, you can bake bread in it. And the second one, it retains heat. So if you stay close to this oven, you can regulate your temperature and you can live here for a very long time. And you don't get undercooled. They didn't make a chimney for 2 reasons. The first, you would have to go 30 meters up, which is very difficult. And the second, you would give away where you are.
Yeah.
So the smoke, you can see it by the ceiling, it just went up into the air. Oh. Yeah. So even though it was safe to be here, it wasn't very healthy. Yeah. Unfortunately, we know for sure, based on information that we found, that the farming families have lived here successfully for a couple of weeks. After that, we don't know what happened. There's only one person that wrote down what had happened. It was a French writer. And already during his lifetime, but especially after his lifetime, it was proven that he tended to make stories a little bit nicer than they were in reality. So he had this whole theory about how there was one pig that escaped because they have very good smell, and then he went out. And when he went outside, there were 2 French soldiers that saw it. They traced the pig back into the tunnels here. It does well with children's tours, but yeah, I don't think it's very plausible. Yeah. In 1895, we had a very young Queen Wilhelmina. She was still a girl, but she was already the queen. And she came to the caves here to visit, and she absolutely loved it. And one of the things that she did, as so many people here in the caves did, is she put her name in the wall. And usually we don't like it, so if you look behind you, you can see that Ray and Koen and all that put their names in. That's not what we want to see. But when the Queen does it, then it's pretty cool. So after that, we made the painting around it to honor her, and she loved it so much here in the caves that she came back twice.
Oh.
And the last time she came, she also brought her daughter, our later Queen Juliana, and Juliana was not so impressed. She never came back. Also her daughter, our later Queen Beatrix, she never came. But in 2010, our at that moment Crown Prince, now our King, Willem-Alexander, his wife Maxima and their 3 little girls, they came to the caves here. They got a tour by a colleague of mine. He never shuts up about it, imagine. And he gave them a tour, and he's this big history nerd, so is our king, so they had this whole fun time going on. And the one thing that he says he regrets from that day is that he did not bring a piece of charcoal, so that the king could put his name under that of his great-grandmother. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. Okay. Please keep walking so that the others can come as well. Yeah, keep going, keep going. I'm not actually from Maastricht. I'm from Utrecht, which is a little bit more north in the country. And I always learned the Second World War, it ended in May 1945, after a period called the Hunger Winter, which was the toughest time of the war. But here in Maastricht, they were spared the Hunger Winter, because Maastricht got liberated in September 1944 already. And this was by the American Old Hickory Division. What had happened is in June 1944, the Allies landed in Normandy. Very quickly, they liberated large parts of France with the help of the French, or together with the French. Paris was liberated. And from Paris, they started the advance from Paris to the Rhine. And the Rhine is a
heading towards exit.
You survived. If this opens, yes. You're welcome. I'm glad you did the whole tour. That's nice. Okay. Well, I'm glad we did this.
Thank you very much.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, sure,
Could
sure,
you
sure.
stay with me for just a second?
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Thank you guys. Yeah.